Okay, so let's talk about everything that just happened. My goodness, what a finale. What an ending. Everything that you could have asked for, definitely done right here. And let's get right into it. So pretty much we find out that Vecna is trying to pretty much take over all of Hawkins. So before we get any further into this, I want to thank anybody who joined me on the finale watch party. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you. If you subscribed, all of that. But if you haven't subscribed and you're watching this video, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to be talking about Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 2 for a good 2 weeks because there's a lot to dissect, especially for the next season. So stay tuned for that by subscribing, and let's get to 22,000 subscribers. So Vecna pretty much wants to open portals to pretty much take over Hawkins. The way to open a portal, however, is through killing. He now has 3 portals. He needs 1 more in order to do it, and that of course means Max has to be killed by Vecna for that to happen. He pretty much lays the plan out to Nancy, and Nancy then is able to escape Vecna in order to relay the message to everybody else. 11 realizes this as well. Papa doesn't want to let her out, but 11 tries to escape, however, and then we have the government coming, so it creates a whole bunch of chaos. 11 eventually does escape and Papa dies. We then see 11 and Mike reunite, and Will and Jonathan have a very tender moment, which I honestly was about to cry during that scene. I really thought it was one of the most tender moments of the whole series, so definitely got me in the feelings with that. We see that 11 is trying to get to Hawkins, but of course they are all the way in California area, West Coast. It's going to be kind of impossible. She then realizes the only way to do it is to get into her mind, and that's why the episode's called Piggyback, because that's what she's going to do, is piggyback from her mind in order to fight Vecna. We then see that Vecna is pretty much going to kill Max at a point after the initial group tries to sort of do this whole thing where they're gonna divert attention and try to get Vecna like distracted while they kill him, but Max has to be sort of bait, and so Lucas is with her and she goes into the trance. But the only thing that happens, however, is that then Jason shows up with the other people in the basketball team to try and get to Lucas and find Eddie. Eddie and Dustin in the meantime are taking care of the bats, and then we see Eddie go ahead and rip that guitar as we've been waiting for him to do, pretty much giving us Master of the Puppets as the song, which just blew everybody's mind. I'm pretty sure that was just an incredible sequence to see. However, Eddie realizes that there is no other way for the bats to pretty much be like subdued if he and Dustin are just running around, and he doesn't want to have Dustin in any harm's way, so he pretty much tricks Dustin and he stays with the bats in the Upside Down. Of course, Dustin's not going to let this happen and tries to go save him. So while all this is happening, also Lucas is having to fight Jason, who has showed up, who feels that Lucas has put Max in this trance and is trying to figure out what exactly they're doing. Of course, we know it's Vecna, and Vecna pretty much is like probably music to his ears to hear that Lucas can't save Max, as the music recorder is now destroyed as well. So while all this is happening in Hawkins and in like the West Coast, in Russia, we see Hopper, Murray, and Joyce find all of these creatures that the Russians are keeping in order to sort of experiment with them, and then they realize it's all sort of connected as a hive as well to Vecna. So eventually we do see 11 be able to enter Max's mind through her memories and all of that, and as we see Max being almost like killed by Vecna, 11 shows up and we see a confrontation of the two again, giving us those vibes of the lab once more. So I thought that was pretty cool to see as well there. Now 11 at first is not really able to go up against Vecna. Vecna knows this, and Vecna explains to 11 as he has her cornered that when she sent him into the Upside Down, he met the Mind Flayer, and this basically started this whole idea that he had of becoming this powerful being that was going to take over. And so that's exactly what we saw happen in the flashback scenes that he had. So before he can go any further, he says that he has to kill Max in order to open the last portal, and he goes to do this as 11 watches on and struggles Eventually Mike is able to get a hold of her and give her the strength and power by admitting his love to her and how much he really needs her, while Will and everybody's there as well. And 11 sort of has this sort of surge of power in her as this happens. Eddie, on the other hand, is getting demolished by the bats, and we see Robin, Nancy, and Steve, who have been sort of like taken over by the vines from Vecna. Now, as 11 is able to use her powers on Vecna again, they're set free, and so they burn Vecna's body that was in the trance, and now they're shooting at the body as well, so completely taking out Vecna, and now Vecna seems to be dead. So what actually happened also is that Hopper, while all this is happening, is battling a Demogorgon with a sword, which I thought was totally amazing. We also see that Max has been sort of like almost like destroyed her body, as Vecna pretty much was able to use the Vecna curse, if you will, on her. So her eyes, she's like bleeding, she can't see, her like legs, her arms all broken, and it seems like she's gonna die at this point, and Elle does her best to be able to save her. So I think it's gonna be curious to see what Elle exactly did in order to try and save Max from all of this. While all this happens also, it seems that it was too late indeed, as there is still an earthquake that happens, and we see this pretty much happen right after Max is saved by Elle. And during this earthquake, we actually see Jason get killed, as he sort of like burns from it, because it's from the upside down and whatever. So I'm very curious as to how they'll explain all of this that happened. So then we see days have passed after this. Vecna seems to be dead. Max is now in a coma, and we have the reunion of the West Coast people with the people in Hawkins. So we have Mike reuniting with his family. We have Jonathan and Nancy, Will with everybody else, and so they all pretty much are like just happy to see one another again. It's been some time, but the ones in the West Coast pretty much explain that they know everything that's been happening. However, so we see Robin, we see Steve, we see Dustin trying to help with the earthquake stuff. We see a little cute interaction between Robin and Vicky, so probably in season 5 we'll see more of that. And then we have a whole thing with Will talking to Mike about this feeling he's had now that they returned to Hawkins of Vecna, and how he's still out there and he's just gonna not stop ever. So I thought that that was interesting to see and hear, because it really relates to what we see at the end. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But we do see the reunion between Hopper and Elle, which was great to see, because I think that that was definitely something we were all waiting and hoping for. Of course, we know that Eddie has died, and this is a very heartfelt moment that him and Dustin have, and then Dustin at the earthquake shelter as well has, when remembering what happened to Eddie. And I was really in the emotions with that, honestly. So there's that. And so we had a pretty good amount of people who did actually get killed. Like I said, Dr. Brenner, we also had Jason, Eddie, and Max is in a coma right now, so she's really out of commission for right now. So in the end, we see that Will gets the sensation he gets, and then the Stranger Things music plays, and it's like, oh, here we go again. So I thought that was a very good way to end the series, well, the season so far, especially leading into the season 5, which is the final season of the series. So we see ashes, and then darkness, and then pretty much everything in our world, like the real world, is turning into the upside down. So it seems like the worlds are colliding, and it's going to be interesting to see what exactly they're going to be doing to try and stop all of this. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I do believe, like Will said, that Vecna is not dead. I think Vecna has become sort of one with the Mind Flayer of sorts, and so that's the thing that you have to destroy. We know they've never destroyed the Mind Flayer, they just closed the portal and all of that. So I think come season 5 we're going to learn exactly how the upside down was created, who created it, and how do you destroy it so it doesn't try to come into our world anymore. I think we're gonna really get those answers in the next season, as the Duffer Bros have said this as well. And like I said, Vecna is not dead, so that's pretty much your explanation right there. I think the fact that Max is still like teetering between life and death means that this portal is sort of open, but not all the way. So I think that's why all of society hasn't been destroyed yet, is because Max is sort of still alive, but not really. So that's why the portal's sort of open. So we're gonna have this battle, I think, for where Vecna or the Mind Flayer, whatever you want to call it, in the next season's going to try and get Max to ultimately be dead, so that way the whole portal can open. But I think once Max comes out of this coma, the portal will close. So we'll definitely see how that all plays out. But anyways, as always, that's going to do it for me. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions on the ending. Did you like it? Did you not? What was your favorite part? I think definitely the running up that hill instrumentation that happened, especially when Hopper was fighting the Demogorgon, was amazing. I think Masters of the Puppets is definitely going to be one of the best scenes of the whole series. And just the whole ending, I think definitely leaving you with all these questions unanswered was great. And I'm excited to see how this is going to continue. But anyways, as always, let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your theories, all of that. I will have a theory for season 5 coming up, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, as always, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. On the road to 25,000 subscribers. Super excited about that. But as always, I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.